Hello everyone. I am back for another video. Oh, look. You see him? Hi, Gus. Hi. Hi, baby. What are you doing? You going back to bed? I'm back for another video because the other two videos I have are kind of really serious and I can't handle that because I'm a jokester and I like to joke and I like to laugh, and I did not represent that well with the last two videos. So I'm back very sunburned. My nails are breaking off. I'm broken. What are you doing? Been working in my sister's garden. She's out of town, so me and my son have been over there like pulling weed. Well, I haven't been pulling weeds because I cut my finger this morning. And every time I move my finger, it would bleed. And I'm slightly allergic to the weeds. And I didn't have any gloves. So I mainly just sat there and raked up the piles that my son made. Not even slightly tanner. Me, oh, like a fucking rock lobster. Rock lobster. So, I'm going to talk about a duet that I have. It is actually one of my most popular storylines. I can't for the life of me figure out why. Sorry. It's called it's called Dick Whipped and Polly Whipped. Ugh. Anyways. So it is about a police officer named Jonathan Beauregard, and everyone calls him Beau for short. He is, like I said, a police officer, and he has a very hard time establishing boundaries between right and wrong when it pertains to his love interest, Rosemary Delgado. He meets her. She is because she was speeding through a school zone. So he pulled her over and gave her a ticket, and that's how he met her. And it was instant for him. He's like, yep, that's the girl. So he why did my lamp just move? He tries to talk to her after the court hearing, and she won't have anything to do with him. She hates him because he gave her a ticket. And when that fails to spark up any relationship of any type, even a friendship, so that he can progress from there. He, oh God, look how, I was even wearing a hat. How, Gideon wasn't. He breaks into her house one day and sets up hidden cameras in her bedroom so he can watch her. I hope my son has his headphones on because anyways, Rosemary is going through a breakup with her boyfriend. She has been in an on again, off again relationship with him for years. And right before they broke up, well, like a few months before they broke up, they had made plans to go to the Bahamas for vacation. And okay, I have a lamp. It's about this tall. And it's one of those paper lamps. And it keeps moving. So the tickets are non-refundable. And she decides to go anyways. Well, while she was online talking to somebody, Beau's in his home watching her through the cameras and sees that she's getting ready to go to the Bahamas. So he like zooms in to get all the information because she bought one of those little package deals that has the hotel, the car, and everything to find out where she's going to be in the Bahamas, and decides suddenly he needs a vacation as well. So Rosemary is a bakery. She owns a bakery in downtown Tampa? Tallahassee? I don't remember. So he goes there one day to talk to her, and they get in a big fight, and she starts throwing cookies at him. So he's like, okay, that's not going to work. So that's when he decides to follow her to the Bahamas. Are y'all hearing this? So everything on the trip goes wrong for Rosemary. They lose her luggage. When she gets there, the hotel was kind of clickbait and looks nothing like what she ordered online. Isn't even near the ocean, like it said, oceanfront property, and no, it is not. And the car is a stick shift, and she doesn't know how to drive a stick shift, and they don't have anything to replace it with. So, and then when she shows up, it's pouring rain, so the poor girl just can't catch a break. So she when the rain stops, she decides to walk to a restaurant. But she's broke because the reason why her and her boyfriend, I cannot remember his name, But the reason why her and her boyfriend broke up was because he has a gambling problem and stole all of her money. So she's broke. So she's like ordering the cheapest thing on the menu. And then here comes Beau strutting up. Oh, what are you doing here? Small world type thing. And he goes in, he buys the most expensive thing on the menu. And then she's sitting on in a chair. I mean, at a table on outside that overlooks the ocean. So when he gets his food, he comes out and he just joins her, doesn't ask. He just sits down and helps himself. And trying to act like everything was just a coincidence, And she has no reason to not believe him. I mean, in real life, in books and movies, yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so suspicious. How can she not notice? But in real life, especially with him being a cop, most people would automatically think stalker. So he's like, you know what, she tells him what's going on and about how the hotel stinks and it sucks and it's tiny and it's gross. And he's like, well, I have rented a house on a private beach. If you're in, I've got extra bedrooms. If you're interested, come on. And, because she's smart, she's, and a smart ass, she's like, hell no, that's drawing the line. Now that's crazy. And then she hears her boyfriend's, in her head, she hears her boyfriend mock, because he's always like, you're too chicken shit to do anything special. You're so basic, he that's how he talked to her. And so she hears her boyfriend's voice in her head saying that kind of stuff to her. So she's like, you know what, fuck him. And she takes up Beau on his offer. So she goes to the hotel, gets her stuff, and moves into this big, huge, it's huge. Also, thing about me, in my books, these places are real. I go online and I do research, and I find towns, I find houses, restaurants, bars. Everything you see in my books when I'm describing it are real, actual, existing locations. My first novel was called Whispered Dreams. The one that I had with the publishing company a few years ago. The first one, my debut. And it took place in the 1850s. And I went so far as to Google slang from that time frame, and I would look up words and you find out the origin, and if it didn't exist in 1858, it didn't exist in my book. And if it was raining on a day, and like one part in there was a hurricane that really happened. I Google the moon phases and the weather, and as far back as it'll let me go. It was really hard to pick that up in the 1850s, but there were some records to tell me what the weather was like back then. I don't know why I do that, but that's what I do. So he's got this big, huge house, and for the first time in months, Rosemary is starting to relax and enjoy herself. And the poor girl just can't catch a break. So she's out there, and they're swimming in the ocean. And things start getting a little intense. And right as they're about to kiss, a jellyfish stings her. And she screams and then she pees on him. Because I read, when I did research on what the side effects of a jellyfish sting, a side effect of initial shock from the pain is a lot of people pee. And she did. So he takes her inside and he gets on, he gets on the internet and finds out what to do. And so he's in the shower with her and he's like plucking the little thingamajiggies out and he's cleaning it up, doing what the hospital said to do. And the pain gets so bad that she pukes on him. She just again, when I was Googling reactions, that is a common reaction. So she just, poor girl, goddamn. But he ends up cleaning her up. You know what? And 20 minutes. He ends up cleaning her up. And then they pass out on the couch because he has to watch her to make sure that she doesn't have any allergic reaction. And when she wakes up, she wakes up before him. They've kind of like fallen to the side, like he's laying across the couch and she's kind of laying on top of him sideways. And somebody's having a very happy dream. And she's impressed with the pitch. And she starts checking him out. And then he wakes up and catches her. So I'm just saying, Rosemary, cursed. The poor girl is just cursed. So they fool around. And then when they're done, Beau gets up and he's like, okay, let's go sightseeing. Like nothing happened. And that makes her feel a little awkward, you know. I probably should not be putting makeup on this sunburn. So they go out, you know, I can't remember the name of, they went to a different island in the Bahamas. And they went hiking because she can't go swimming, you know, until it heals a little bit. So they were kind of limited on what they can do. And on one of the islands, there is this building, an old abandoned building at the top of a hill. It's got no roof, no one. It's just a cement frame, square. I don't know what I'm doing with the makeup. I could do that. And things get a little heated. And they get carried away. And they fuck. And he recorded the whole thing. Afterwards, she was kind of exhausted and the pain was catching up. And I'm not going to go into details because my son's probably listening. So she's out of energy. So he picks her up and he carries her back down the hill to the beach and takes her home. Rosemary's luggage finally shows up. They go to the airport and pick it up, and it is absolutely destroyed. I'm telling you, the girl's fucking jaded. And so they have to sit there and go through the luggage at the airport and pick through it and make, fill out a form of everything that's damaged. And in the process, Beau finds, I don't remember what it's called. It's that the little pink vibrator that you can put, inside, and you have remote control access. He finds out, well, obviously he knew she had it because, he's been spying on her. And he's already got the app downloaded on his phone, ready to go. So he tells her to put it in. When they're done, he tells her to put it in. She's like, sure, why not? And they go have dinner or lunch, whatever. And he decides to, she doesn't warn her and then just turns it straight up, right up to the high. I hate what I'm doing, guys. So right there at the restaurant, in front of everybody, he's got that toy on the maximum level. Oh, that's why it went dark. I got the wrong one. And he makes her come. And then they get up and leave like nothing happened. And then in the car, he does it again on the way home. And they're sitting, he's driving with this hand, messing with her with this hand. And he pulls her shirt down. And again, he's got it at the maximum level. So she's kind of freaking out, losing her shit. And he's sitting at a red light. And there are people on the sidewalk watching this naked woman, like, writhe around in the seat. He's just sitting there, letting them watch. And when she tries to stop everything, he knocks it all the way up to the highest level again. And she can't do anything. She's at his mercy pretty much. So they get back to the house, and that's pretty much how the whole trip goes. The only thing is Beau has no intention of letting her leave the islands without becoming his wife. He has already talked to a justice of the peace. He has already gotten her documents. Being a cop, he pulled strings and got all that stuff, filled out all the paperwork. She's not leaving that island without being married to him. And somehow he convinces her, you can't even see that. He convinces her to marry him. So they get married like the day before they're due to move back. Go back to Florida. He convinces her to marry him. Once they get back to Florida, they agree to pretend like nothing happened. And, you know, he's going to break the news to his... Can you see him? Hi, Gus Gus. Hi, baby. Hi. What do you want? He wants that food, right? He wants that one. So they agree to keep it quiet so that he can break the news to his people and she can break the news to her people. And then, you know, they'll go from there. So one thing I did not tell you is Beau, for the last 10, 12 years, 9, 10, 12 years, I can't remember, has been in a bit of a threesome type thing. Him, his ex-girlfriend, and her husband. Every Thursday they meet up. Rosemary knows about this. But Beau said, you know, he's willing to quit that for her. This nigga looks like shit. I don't know how to fix this. Cover it up. All right, cover it up. So she goes home and her ex-boyfriend shows up and attacks her. And Beau's watching it on the videos, but he can't call her and say, "Oh my God," because then she would know that he is watching. So he calls. Rosemary lives with her cousin, his wife, and their son. So he calls. He uses the track phone that he uses to talk to his informants. Because he's, like I said, he's a cop. So, and he has informants, you know, snitches. And he uses the track phone to call the cousin. So the cousin will go knock on the door and break it up. Rosemary ends up getting away. The ex-boyfriend hauls ass. But the cousin calls the cops, and Rosemary says, you know, call my husband. He's Sergeant Beauregard. And that's how she breaks the news to her family, that she is married. And of course, that absolutely delights the hell out of Beau, you know. So he shows up. She decides to move in with him that night. To hell with everything else. So she goes home with him that night. A lot of people have issues with them being together, obviously, because of how quick it was. Her and her friend, who owns the bakery with her, become estranged. And Rosemary learns that she actually wants to be married to him. She still doesn't know if she loves him or not, but... And then he has to introduce her to the couple. And One thing leads to another, and suddenly all four of them are in bed together. So apparently Beau's not losing anybody. And so things start progressing, then she starts realizing that, yeah, she's in love with him. And she's in for, in this for the long haul. And they decide they're ready. They want to have a baby. I mean, yeah, they've only been together for a few weeks, but, why the hell not? So they turn from husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, to husband, wife type thing. And Rosemary ends up joining the every Thursday festivities. And everything is going beautifully. Until one day, Rosemary finds the videos on his computer of him spying on her. And freaks the hell out, as she should, and leaves him. This makeup looks awful. It really looks awful. So she leaves him. Beau loses his shit, okay? Because she's like contemplating having an abortion. Because she's like, how can I justify having a baby with you? You're a fucking psychopath. And sure enough, to prove she's right, he comes over to her house because she moved back in with her cousin. And he comes over to the house one day to talk to her about the divorce, drugs her, and when she passes out, he takes her back to the Bahamas, thinking that if he took her back to where they fell in love, he can do it again. He made her fall in love with him once in a week, and he's ready to do it again. And because he's a cop, everyone believes him when he tells all the neighbors, because he rents another house. Everyone believes him when he's like, this is my wife. She's kind of having a mental breakdown right now. Don't believe anything she says. He even hires a nanny to babysit her when he's not around. And even though she's telling people that he's kidnapped her, nobody believes her. And he is absolutely 100% ready to hold her in that cottage for months, if necessary, to make sure she can't have an abortion. As the days go by, she's still in love with him. She really is. So they keep going back and forth between... They keep going back and forth between still being in love and having fun and, oh yeah, wait a minute, I'm a hostage. You kidnapped me. She does try to escape a couple times and then realizes it's futile because nobody fucking believes her. Everybody's like, oh, you poor thing, just rest, you'll be okay. So she gives up trying to escape. one day while they're out, she's struggling, you know, because she does love him. And she knows that when she finally gets back to the States and tells what happened, he's going to go to jail. And everybody knows cops don't fare well in jail. So she's really, you know, because the other inmates, oh, that's a cop. And, you know, he becomes a target. And that scares her. And she understands why he is doing what he did. I'm not going to go into that detail. You'll have to read the book. So she's really struggling because she still loves him. She knows why he kidnapped her. And it's a double-edged sword. Technically, Beau is everything every girl wants. Whenever you read these romance novels, everybody wants these over-the-top, jealous, protective, stalkerish, bad boys. And she got one. You know, so fantasy and reality are slamming together. And she's struggling. So one day they're out and they're touring the Bahamas, Exuma. And they start arguing. And she's like, what's going to happen to you when you go to jail? And he's like, don't you worry about that. You just worry about the baby. Because he knows he's going to jail. And he's okay with that. He's told her many times, I'm okay about going to jail. I know what I'm doing. As long as you and that baby are safe, I'm okay. So again, she's struggling so hard to hate him. And while they're having that conversation, she gets up and they're in a bathroom in a restaurant. And while they're having that conversation, she gets up to use the bathroom and she's bleeding. So both of them are freaking out. He rushes her to the hospital. And the doctor's like, you know, everything's fine. And that's when Rosemary realizes she does not want to lose the baby. She wants the baby. Of course, when she tells Beau this, Beau doesn't believe her. Beau thinks she's just saying that because she wants to go home. He thinks she's just saying whatever it takes to get out. So they keep fighting and arguing. And in between fighting and arguing, they're still intimate because she can't make up her mind. And finally one day, she sees her opportunity and she gets out and she gets back to the States. There is also another point of why she is terrified of Beau that I am not going to get into because that is one of the major plot twists of the story. And I'm not going to get that spoiler out. So she gets home, but she doesn't call the cops on Beau. And this confuses Beau because he goes home too. When he wakes up and realizes that she's gone, he packs up and goes home too. And he goes home to wait for the cops to come arrest him. But they never do. So one day he takes the chance and he suits up and he goes back to work. And nobody knows anything happened. Nobody knows what happened. She doesn't tell anybody about the videos, about the other thing that she, you know. but everybody just knows that they broke up. The couple that they were involved with, they're heartbroken because they went from a 4 back to a 3. Well, Beau can't function without Rosemary, so 3 becomes 2. And Beau slips into a major depression and becomes an alcoholic. He's still spying on her too. She has moved out of her cousins into her own home. And Beau doesn't learn his lessons. One day while she was at work, he broke in and bugged the new house. So he's still watching her. And what he sees is her new coworker at the bakery is a man who is very interested in Rosemary. And Rosemary, although is not really interested in him, she has a habit of being the type of person to fuck away the pain, in essence. So when Alex is all over her, showing affection and stuff, she's ready to go down that rabbit hole. She doesn't, though. Well, she doesn't, though, and she refrains, and she tells him, no, I'm in the middle of a divorce, and I'm pregnant. It's not probably such a good idea. Alex doesn't back off, though. And this infuriates Beau. The girlfriend of the foursome, I didn't mention this, I forgot, is pregnant. And she ends up going into labor. And Beau shows up to the hospital drunk off his ass. Which really breaks Rosemary's heart because she's still in love with him. So Beau decides to shape up, put away the booze, and he calls somebody to get some counseling, psychiatric help, because of things in his past. He has a deep down rooted fear of being abandoned. And that's why he has latched on to Rosemary the way he has, with the stalking and the videos and manipulating everything and kidnapping her because of the, with the baby and stuff. And he calls her. He's watching her on the videos, and she's on the phone. She's at her home, and she's on the phone with Alex, and Alex is flirting with her. So he calls to interrupt. And during that conversation, he tells her that he's in therapy and stuff, and has been going like several times a week. And at this point, Rosemary's just ready to forgive. She loves him. She wants him back. She can't handle it anymore. But during the conversation, she realizes that he's still watching her. And she's like, oh my fucking God, where's the cameras? And she looks around and she finds them. And Beau's all upset, and he hangs up on her thinking he just fucked everything up again. However, Rosemary goes to the room, finds the camera in the room, looks at it, starts talking to him, and starts being naughty. And so she's like, you got 15 minutes to get over here and put this ring back on my finger. So Beau hauls ass over to her house and they make up and agree to get remarried because divorces are really, really short in Florida, and the divorce was over. The next day, here's where the not so funny stuff comes into play. The next day, she's at work and she tells Alex that her and Beau are back together, and Alex attacks her. So afterwards, she goes into like a little funk where she's like, the baby's okay, but she's in like some kind of weird funk where she can't function. She can't talk. She's like zombified, She finally snaps out of it. And everything, everything is okay. Her and Beau are back together. It takes her a while to be okay being intimate with another man. But he's patient with her and she works that out. And at the end of the book, she and Beau get remarried. But after the ceremony, they just had a little justice of the peace come out to Beau's property and marry them. Afterwards, when the justice of the peace is gone, the four of them have their own private little ceremony where all four of them end up getting married. And then the other couple had bought a house with some land, and it was an old antique house, and the barn had been transferred into a mini house. So Rosemary and Beau moved into that house. So they were all on one property, but they still had their separate lives, but they were still married. And Rosemary's pregnant again with a new baby. And they lived happily ever after, even though the new house was bugged with cameras. And her car had a tracker on it. So he never really got over that, but she just learned to accept his eccentricities. And like I said, they had a happily ever after. And one of the reasons why that book is so popular, that duet, is because of the things they like to do. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without him hearing. Like in one scene in Dick Whipped, they used a bedpost. Another scene, she used his police baton on him. So, yeah. Freaky deaky shit. And she was a squirter. He taught her that. And it's just a very popular duet. Crap. But, you know, whatever. It's nighttime. There's no sun. It's fine. And my hair, I brushed it when I got out of the shower a while ago and lost all my natural curl. Well, I got a couple. So if you want to check out Dick Whipped, and its sequel, Polly Whipped, they are on Amazon. I will they have been recently, I'll show the covers right here. They have recently been rebranded from Kelly Strickland to Ollie Dupree. They are on KU, so if you have KU, there you go. And if you like kinky stuff like that, you'll like these books. And yes, even though it never had been before, once Rosemary got added into the mix, it does become MMFF. Okay? So, poor Rosemary. She just really had nothing but a string of bad luck and completely got humiliated one time after another. I mean, can you imagine being in the ocean with a 6-foot-tall man, fucking hard, six pack so hard you can flick quarters off, and all of a sudden you scream, pee, and pass out? And then while he's tending to your wounds, you puke on him? I mean, oh my God. Cock blocking jellyfish. That's what she said. Cock blocking jellyfish. No, there are some of my experiences in the book. I'm not going to go into details. That's, you know, like, because I've told you, I'm in every book. I don't think it's necessary to talk about that. There is no real, well, I mean, I guess some of the life lesson is the whole afraid of abandonment makes you react crazy. It's just mostly, this duet was mostly just about being fun and being horny and scratching that itch with any object you can be creative with. So yeah, nothing serious, too serious, and just a couple of people who think that they're amateur porn stars falling in love, trying to have a happily ever after. That's all there is to it. So check it out. I hope you enjoy it and have fun.